mostly gray and rainy today on Thursday morning. We're really appreciative of the rain because we need the rain. So the celebration of the water returning to the air today. My name is Ashara Ekundayo. I'm co-founder and chief creative officer here. And this is our second and eighth volume of Grits and Greens, but our second one here in our new home. We opened here on February 3rd, and it's just been an amazing ride so far. So we really want to have you know that you are always welcome to be part of our community and part of our family here and part of our membership. And before we get started deep in, we're going to go in really quickly so we can get out and folks can get to what they need to do. Today. I'm going to ask my sister Jocelyn from Grace Hearth to come up and bless the food that we've eaten. If you thought it was beautiful and amazing like I did, then please thank her, and I'll have her come up and do a little talk about what we eat this morning.
Good morning, everyone. It's really been a sweet experience to be brought into not only the Hub family, but also the Grits and Greens, shall I say revolution? Can I just say that? It's a very triumphant place to be in the intersection of food and art and technology and see how we can make such a great impression with those things. That's part of our sweet mission as Grace Hearth. We get to focus on local and seasonal foods, primarily organic, and just have fun, play with what is at hand in this amazing food shed. I want to highlight and explain some of the things that you have been able to enjoy this morning. We used our community grains, red flint polenta, and I think Shara might get into what the difference is between polenta and grits, both agriculturally and culturally. And that is a local provider based in Oakland. We were also able to have our coconut greens made by my cooking partner, Carrie. And then also expression of spring through the English peas and asparagus, just brightly done with some spluttered cumin seeds and mustard seeds, and it's, just a fresh sort of limeness to it. And roasted strawberries from the season as well. We love to be able to let them marinate in their own juices and stew in there.
But wait, talk about those strawberries roasted from
Wisconsin. Yeah, it's one thing to simply cook a strawberry, but when you get it into a low and slow scenario in an oven, it's a little bit different because these strawberries have an opportunity to break down and enjoy each other as they're created. And when you take a little moment at the end of that cooking phase to add in a little bit of rose geranium, a rose geranium leaf, it brings out even more of the sweetness and a really subtle flavor of the strawberries that is, it's like, wow, this is a strawberry. Those relationships among food that do that. It's really nice to find those combinations and bring them into a dish. And just to highlight also the polenta, it was enhanced and enriched a bit more by adding a infused coconut milk infused with kaffir lime and lemongrass and ginger, and added that to the polenta also to give it a little bit more of that theme within the meal. And just wanted to highlight also we used Dane. I don't know if y'all have heard of Dane, but again, we just like to point out our local food artisans. These folks are based out of San Francisco, and named the company after their mom, and that just means something. So it's really sweet to be able to source it that way. I'd also like to offer you a blessing. It's a tradition in my family to sing with the food, and that's something that we love to do as well. And I was given a little bit of a prompt this morning, which I'm going to go with. And I think it'll marry well. We are opening in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. Blessings on your meal.
So delicious, yummy, yummy, all of this is great. I also want to welcome and big up our brother Corey from Red Bay Coffee in the house, pouring caffeine for all of us today. Red Bay Coffee is the newest endeavor from our brother Kiva Conte, the Conte Empire. Not that I use that word much, but really they do break it off for us. So something really special, again, local artisan, made with a lot of love and brought to our space in the most creative and sexy way that they know how to get it in. So we want to welcome them to our Grits and Greens family. They're going to be pouring for us this year. And I want to also invite our CEO, Conda Mason, to come up and give a super short, this is Impact Hub Oakland chat. And then we're going to have our panelists meet me on stage. Yeah? Are you looking at me crazy?
How's everybody? Good morning. It's such an effort, right, to be here in the morning like this, and really appreciate the effort that everyone made. This is Impact Hub Oakland. Some of you, how many of you, this is your first time here? Okay, great. So we are a co-working community of crazy people who really think that we can change the world. And it's a wonderful community of change makers here. We co-work, we co-learn, and we do wonderful things like this and have great programs and offer all kinds of incredible classes and workshops. And so we are a membership community and really encourage folks to become members of Impact Oakland. So I will put out some cards on the table and you can see exactly what membership looks like here. And we welcome you into our family. So thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you. And you all probably all met our head host, Miss Calgary Brown, rocking the front desk. We want to just appreciate her, appreciate you, sis, for being here early with us and making sure the doors open and everything was good for you all. So I'd love to invite the panelists to come up. Doria Robinson, Executive Director of Women's Health, to come up. My brother Kurt Collins, who's one of the co-founding lead mentors at Hidden Genius Project, our resident tech key this morning. And my sister Amara Tabor Smith from Deepwater Stamps here are speaking this morning. And so we're just going to have a conversation. We're going to start with Doria. We're going to sit. You can bring your coffee, bring your food, do your thing. It's really kind of informal. Clearly, it's an informal conversation. And we're gonna get it in with that. And Doria, maybe you can, do I hit play first, or what do you want to do? Okay. Great.
Really excited to be here, and it's funny, you're not quite sure what to say each time you're invited to speak about my work, invited to speak about the work of Urban Health. It's such a complicated project. The simple thing to say is that we're a nonprofit working based in Richmond, run by community residents, 100% Richmond residents running this organization. That we're 17 people working year-round in 13 different school and community gardens, producing a ton of food for people in Richmond. But that's just the beginning of the story. I want to play just a little piece to give people kind of a feel for what we do and how we do our work. We don't have anybody yet who's made a proper professional film about our work, but this film was actually made by one of the youth connected to our program because he just loved the work so much. So I think that actually speaks volumes for what it is that we're doing. So. Well, that's just one of our gardens. It was filmed during the Summer Apprentice Program, where we take 40 youth every year for the last 6 years and train them intensively in urban agriculture, how to grow their own food. They're actually paid, it's a paid internship. So, you know, coming from a community where 70% of African American males between the age of 14 and 24 are unemployed, having a paid internship is a big deal. So 40 youth every year trained to grow food in 7 different garden locations around Richmond. Not just to grow food, but to invite people in, invite their neighbors, their cousins, their friends to get deeply involved in this process of growing. We say that we grow food and we grow ourselves because we spend a lot of time and energy developing the thought, the reason, the why behind what we're doing. I actually wanted to read one other thing. One of our projects that we've been working on for the last 2 years is a faith-based initiative where we've been working with churches in Richmond who have wellness ministries to grow, to actually build, design and build with the church gardens that they, right, that they then use to actually grow the food that they use, cook for Sunday dinners and whatnot. And we get into this longer, deeper conversation around food and around tradition and culture and whatnot. As a part of that program, we actually hire people from those congregations to learn to care for the gardens so that we, Urban Tilth, are not caring for these gardens, but the congregations themselves, members from the congregations, are caring for those gardens. So recently we hired Keith. He's a 50-year-old man who had been out of work for a really long time. He's a lifelong member of the Sojourner Truth Presbyterian Church, which is our new location for the garden. And this is his words about his new job. He's only been working for a couple months. He said, "This is new territory for me. I knew nothing about gardening, but I've built beds. I've transplanted tomatoes, onions, and cucumbers." So, one of Harris's current projects is researching and composting in worm beds. He says gardening at Sojourner Truth Church has allowed him to explore his curiosity. "I'm excited to watch the plants grow, and I think it's the closest thing to God to watch nature take its course. When we have our first harvest, we will give it to the people." So I just want to read that last bit again because I kind of stumbled through it. He said, "I think it's the closest thing to God to watch nature take its course. When we have our first harvest, we will give it to the people." Just profound. This is the kind of thing that we're growing in Richmond. It's not just the food. It's the vision. It's the commitment. It's the re-engagement with community, re-engagement with purpose, re-engagement and reconnection. Each person's soul to some possibility of why we are here. We are currently building a new farm in North Richmond, classic Urban Tilth style, training people from North Richmond, the most impacted area in Richmond. It's, people hear a lot about the Iron Triangle, which is a very impacted community, but North Richmond is kind of like the forgotten place. There is no grocery store. There are no services. In fact, half of the section of this neighborhood is in unincorporated. And we're building a 3-acre farm there that will be completely manned, completely managed by people in North Richmond who are starting now to learn how to be farmers. We're training up the whole staff. We have a 3-year trajectory and hopefully a partnership with local and national organizations to get them the training they need to actually be self-sufficient. This farm will have a market stand at the corner, the first fruit and vegetable stand, or any place, grocery store in that part of the city. A bike shop and a space to grow cooperative enterprises based on food. So, this is our work. mistaking the community that I grew up in. I'm a third-generation Richmond resident. I live in the community that I was born in. I'm at my great-aunt's house. And coming back to it with our full selves. And looking at food and food issues as a complex question that involves economics, that involves planning, that involves zoning, that involves job training, that involves environmental justice issues. And figuring out a way to reconnect all these things. Through our programs, through our interactions with you. So hopefully, yeah, that's what I want to talk for today.
So you all will understand why I really was excited to have Doria come and join us and come from Richmond this morning, along with some other Richmond family came this morning. I had the honor, the opportunity to work with Doria for a year and her team of young, brilliant farmers, you know, and just observe really, and she really has transformed my way of thinking about food justice, because she is the most fierce localist I have ever met, ever. And it was very clear that I was the Oakland person in the room, and that I really had a lot to learn. So I just want to honor and thank you for your work, your fierce commitment to honoring the mother. Really beautiful, beautiful work. So Doria Robinson here with us in Oakland this morning, and this is her first time here in the space, so you get to see why I was a little occupied. I was a little occupied when I was with her. I want to introduce my brother, Mr. Kurt Collins, who has been in and out of our space for the last, Impact Hub Oakland space for the last year and a half, just holding energy for conversations around equity and diversity and technology. And his work for the Hidden Genius Project, his work our 7th day into this space with the Startup Weekend Black Male Achievement Hackathon, phenomenal mentorship there, and I just want to have an opportunity given to you to talk a little bit about your work and what's next in terms of how we continue this conversation, because it's happening a lot here around tech. Kurt Collins, everyone.
So this morning, I'm going to tell you guys 3 stories, if that's okay. The first story is mine, and it kind of gets woven into everything else. The other 2 may initially seem unrelated, but they are not. My name is Kurt Collins. I was born in the country of Grenada, which is a tiny island in the Caribbean, which was lovingly invaded by the United States of America in 1983. I'm still not an American citizen, but I obviously spend all of my time here, and a significant amount of my time in Oakland. I've found that my entire life I've been at odds, kind of like this photo. There are several different sides of me that have often been at war with each other. There's the fact that I'm a black man growing up in the United States of America. But then there's also the fact that I love and I live in the technology world. Those 2 things are often at odds with each other. I love comic books, and I also happen to love Star Trek. So keep that to yourself. I try not to spread that around too much. I also grew up drinking Coca-Cola. In fact, I grew up drinking it so much that today I really can't drink coffee in the morning. I drink Coke. In this crowd, you can understand why I chose to call that little piece out. A lot of I still do it. It's one of my two vices. The other one is alcohol, unfortunately, but it tastes good. The thing about Coke that's interesting to me, and always has been interesting to me, and the reason why I bring it up is because in other countries, it's a lot more prevalent than it is